and an M, my phone. Yeah. So I just had the world's worst 10 minutes. But anyway, at least the dog got to go to the bathroom. I'm sure she was very happy. Okay, so we're going to be using Anne of Green Gables as a reference for character. Also, I found this. It's Peanuts. I didn't know I had this. So I'm going to stick it with my Space Boy book for solidarity. All right, so this is the passage I want to work from with Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables is a very famous character, especially in North America. She is a Canadian character by a lady named Lucy Maud Montgomery. And this is an orphaned girl in Canada who gets adopted by a pair of older spinster siblings, brother, sister. I don't know what a spinster man is called. Bachelor. Anyway, so this is the description of Anne. If you've never read the books or watched the movies, this will be new to you. But this is a description of Anne from when she first appears in the book. She had been watching him ever since he had passed by her, and she had her eyes on him now. Matthew was not looking at her and would not have seen what she was really like if he had been, but an ordinary observer would have seen this. A child of about 11, garbed in a very short, very tight, very ugly dress of yellowish gray wincey. She wore a faded brown sailor hat, and underneath the hat, extending down her back, were two braids of very thick, decidedly red hair. Her face was small, white, and thin, also much freckled. Her mouth was very large, and so were her eyes, which looked green in some lights and moods and gray in others. So far, the ordinary observer, an extraordinary observer, might have seen that the chin was very pointed and pronounced. The big eyes were full of spirit and vivacity. The mouth was sweet-lipped and expressive. The forehead was broad and full. In short, our discerning, extraordinary observer might have concluded that no commonplace soul inhabited the body of the stray woman child of whom shy Matthew Cuthbert was so ludicrously afraid. Matthew was, however, spared the ordeal of speaking first, for as soon as she concluded that he was coming to her, she stood up, grasping with one thin brown hand the handle of a shabby old-fashioned carpet bag. The other she held out to him. I suppose you are Mr. Matthew Cuthbert of Green Gables, she said in a peculiarly clear, sweet voice. I'm very glad to see you. I was beginning to be afraid you weren't coming for me, and I was imagining all the things that might have happened to prevent you. And then she talks about this tree for a bit. But this is the character, Anne. Okay. So what are some things that we notice about Anne from this short description? Goodness gracious, I need water. Pointy chin, long braids, big eyes. Okay. Greenish eyes. Very expressive, very talkative, big personality. Freckles? Yeah. Is she well dressed? Wide mouth and forehead? Yeah. Would she be considered pretty? Would she be considered like a you know a pretty little girl? Given all of the traits that we see here described, depends on who you ask. Yeah, she would not be considered like conventionally like a model. Things like red, sorry, not red hair, freckles, having a wide mouth and a small face, that would not be considered well proportioned. However, that she's a very charismatic, magnetic person who is constantly talking and basically runs the place once she shows up. So you wouldn't ever consider her boring or uninteresting. Okay, so we have this huge wall of text, right? The information that we actually need for an illustration is this stuff, this highlighted stuff. So she's 11, so we know how old she is. Generally, how tall she would be given the standard size of an 11-year-old. She is dressed in clothes that are not good on her. They're too small for her. They look ugly. They don't look good. Everything's faded, old, low quality. Her clothes and bag. We have her So what I have here is the blue is her physical descriptions and the yellow is what she is wearing slash what she is holding. So we can see here, these are the information that we need. And then the extra stuff is more about her personality. So yeah, these are the details. A lot of these you already found. And so we have a general idea of her size based on this girl from the reference images that I got who would have been around the same age. And we can kind of dissect what Anne would have looked like. We can by creating a little structure for her and then dressing her up. So I'm going to do that now. So I have a little girl. She's going to be a bit shorter than like a full human woman. Obviously, she's not going to be as tall or broad, but she's not a baby. So she's going to be kind of a mid-sized human. Elbows are right above the waist in general. Fingertips between hip, waist and knees. So that would fall to about here. The dress is too short on her, which means it's probably going to be past her knees, but not all the way to her ankles. And it's also too tight, so it's going to make her look kind of odd. That also means her sleeves wouldn't go all the way to her wrists. They would only go to about her elbows. Also, in the little sketch I did, I have her wearing a bit of an apron. Pinafore dresses were very common at that time, having some sort of apron on top to protect the underlayer of fabric was very much in style. This is a historical fiction work that was set in the late Victorian, early Edwardian period, from what I remember. So we're looking at outfits. Sailor hat could mean a few different things. Yes, we're going to do a little sketch of Anne. Yes. So sailor hat could mean a couple of different things. Like sometimes that means like the little cap, little sailor cap. Sometimes that means like a little hat with a little band under it and like a little bow on it. And then sometimes it means like a broad brimmed hat. I'm not altogether sure which one I like, but a lot of time people have her in like kind of the flat cap with a bit of a broader brim to it. So I'm gonna put her in that. I don't exactly know if that is the proper sailor's hat of the time, but who cares? We're drawing a little sketch for class, so it's probably fine. And I'm gonna give her eyeballs because she probably needs those, and freckles because she definitely has those. A nose, a wide mouth, and I should probably point her chin a bit more. And if you are not ready to share it with the class, there is a discussion board specifically for sharing this in-class drawing for this week. So if you want to wait and just post it there instead of posting it in class, that is totally fine. There we go. All right. By the way, in case you were wondering what WinC is, WinC, this is where doing a little bit of research into the historical period is helpful. Not necessary, but helpful. Wincy was a very short, very tight, ugly dress, yellowish gray Lindsay. So Lindsay was Lindsay Woolsey. Coarse twill or plain woven fabric woven with linen warp and woolen weft. So this would have been really scratchy, cheap fabric.